400 local time, somewhere off the coast of Southern California. A warship is underway, no captain on the bridge, no crew in the engine room, no sailors sleeping below deck. The hull cuts through open ocean at 27 knots. Sensors scanning, systems running, navigation calculating, and the only humans who know where it is are watching a screen hundreds of miles away. This is not science fiction. This is not a prototype gathering dust in a research facility. This happened. And 4 days ago, the United States Navy selected its newest version of this technology to begin full at-sea testing. The ship is called ROMULUS. The program is the Medium Unmanned Surface Vessel Initiative, and what it represents is not just a new platform. It is the Navy admitting, in plain language, that the way America has fought at sea for the last 100 years is about to change permanently. We do not cover the battle, we find the breaking point. Start with the number that explains everything. In 2025, the U.S. Navy had 4 small unmanned surface vessels in its inventory. 4. By the end of that year, it had close to 400. That is a 100 times increase in 12 months. The Navy is now investing $7 billion in unmanned systems for the coming fiscal year alone. $3.7 billion of that goes directly to the surface force. The question is not whether this is happening. The question is why the Navy is moving this fast and what it is building toward. The answer is China. The People's Liberation Army Navy is now the largest navy in the world by ship count. Over 370 warships compared to 294 for the United States. But the raw numbers do not capture the real problem. China's shipbuilding capacity is estimated at 230 times that of American yards. 230 times. While the United States takes 4 to 5 years to deliver one aircraft carrier, Chinese yards are launching destroyers, frigates, and amphibious ships at a pace that has no historical parallel in the modern era. The Navy cannot build its way to numerical parity with China using manned warships. The cost per hull is too high, the construction time is too long, and the specialized workforce required is too limited. An Arleigh Burke destroyer costs roughly $2 billion and takes 3 to 4 years to build. A medium unmanned surface vessel costs a fraction of that and can be produced in months at commercial shipyards with no specialized nuclear construction requirements. The math is the strategy. But to understand why Romulus matters specifically, you have to understand what came before it. In 2016, DARPA launched a 132-foot trimaran called Sea Hunter. No crew, twin diesel engines, a top speed of 27 knots, and a range of 10,000 nautical miles. That last number is worth sitting with. 10,000 nautical miles is roughly the distance from San Diego to the South China Sea. Sea Hunter could theoretically sail from a West Coast port to the edge of a Pacific conflict zone and back without stopping, without refueling, and without a single sailor aboard. During early testing off San Diego, Sea Hunter operated continuously for over 5,000 nautical miles. DARPA confirmed it could operate for 90 days without refueling or crew support. Every mechanical and electrical system on the vessel was configured specifically to run for months at a time without maintenance, not adapted from a manned design, designed from the ground up around the assumption that no human would ever be aboard. The Navy was watching closely. In 2021, Leidos delivered Seahawk, a refined version of Sea Hunter incorporating over 300 improvements identified during the first program. The engineers at Leidos described the design philosophy clearly. They did not put an autonomous navigation system onto an existing ship. They rebuilt every system from scratch around the operational reality of unmanned endurance. The result was a platform that could sustain months of open ocean operations in conditions that would exhaust any human crew. The Navy deployed 4 of these vessels to the Indo-Pacific for 5 months in 2024. The results informed the strategy now being executed. Captain Garrett Miller, commander of Surface Development Group 1, stood at the Navy League's Sea Air Space Symposium in April 2026 and described what is coming. Over 30 medium unmanned surface vessels in the Indo-Pacific alone by 2030, thousands of small unmanned surface vessels alongside them, unmanned aerial systems launching and recovering from both manned and unmanned ships, a distributed force that stretches across the Pacific at a scale and persistence that no manned fleet could sustain. The concept driving this buildup has a name: the hellscape. Admiral Samuel Papero, commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, described it publicly. In the event of a Chinese attempt to invade Taiwan, the United States would flood the region with autonomous systems, thousands of unmanned surface vessels, hundreds of unmanned aerial systems, unmanned underwater vehicles operating from the seafloor to the surface. The goal is to make any military operation in that space so costly, so difficult, and so unpredictable that the calculation changes before the first shot is fired. The hellscape concept is deterrence architecture. It works only if the platforms exist in sufficient numbers before the moment they are needed. This is why Romulus matters today. On the 1st of June 2026, 4 days after its at-sea testing selection was announced, Romulus is not simply a refined sea hunter. It is a production-ready platform designed for the specific operational requirements of the Navy's 2045 Surface Force Vision. Its mission profile covers 5 areas that define the future of naval warfare: intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, counter-unmanned air systems, mine countermeasures, strike missions, and the launch and recovery of unmanned underwater and aerial vehicles. That last mission set is the one that reframes the entire concept. A Romulus vessel operating in the South China Sea is not just a sensor, it is a mobile base. It can deploy REMUS unmanned underwater vehicles to track submarines at depths no surface ship can reach. It can launch unmanned aerial systems for over-the-horizon targeting. It can recover those systems, rearm them, and redeploy them without any support from a manned ship. One hull, no crew, persistent presence across multiple domains simultaneously. The Odyssey Autonomous Control Solutions software running Romulus is already deployed across 30 countries. The system handles multi-vehicle collaborative autonomy, meaning a single operator can manage dozens of platforms operating in coordination. Sensor fusion pulls data from every system aboard into a single operational picture. And the autonomy architecture allows Romulus to make navigational and situational decisions within established rules of engagement without waiting for a human instruction. The cost mathematics that drive this program are not subtle. A manned Arleigh Burke destroyer deployed to the Pacific for a 7-month deployment costs hundreds of millions of dollars in crew pay, food, maintenance, fuel, and port calls alone. It carries 96 missiles. When those missiles are gone, the ship must return to port. There is no reload at sea. The ship cannot be in more than one place. And if it takes damage, the human cost is measured not just in money, but in American lives. Romulus changes every one of those variables. No crew means no crew pay, no food logistics, no medical support, no berthing damage when a laundry fire breaks out at 3 in the morning. The platform can hold station in contested waters indefinitely because there is no human fatigue limit, no rotation schedule, no port visit required for morale. And critically, if a Romulus vessel is destroyed in a conflict, the United States does not have to write letters to families. The loss is measured in dollars, not lives. This is not a peripheral consideration. It is the reason the Navy is investing $3.7 billion in unmanned surface platforms in a single fiscal year. But the breaking point in this program is not technical. The technology works. Sea Hunter proved that a decade ago. The breaking point is doctrine. The Navy does not yet have finalized concepts of operations for medium unmanned surface vessels. Officials acknowledged in January 2026 that they are working to finalize these concepts in the coming months. An unmanned ship can hold station, gather intelligence, and deploy subsystems. But the decision to fire a weapon, to engage a target, to make a lethal choice, that decision still requires a human in the loop. Current rules of engagement require it. What this means in practice is that Romulus and its counterparts operate as force multipliers for the manned fleet, not replacements for it. They extend the sensor reach and the magazine depth of destroyer strike groups. They create targeting solutions at ranges and in positions that would put manned ships at unacceptable risk. They fill the spaces between manned platforms with persistent coverage that no admiral could previously afford. The Navy's stated goal is to make nearly half of its surface fleet unmanned by 2045. That number represents a transformation in American naval power that has no precedent since the nuclear carrier program of the 1960s. Romulus is the beginning of that transformation, not the destination. What comes after it? What happens when the doctrine catches up to the technology? When the question of autonomous lethal decision-making is resolved in policy and in law is the equation that nobody is fully calculating yet. Type the word GHOST in the comments if this changed how you see the future of American naval power. Subscribe now so you do not miss the next breakdown. The Pacific question is building. The technology is already in the water. The doctrine is not finished. And the gap between what these ships can do and what they are currently allowed to do is the most important space in naval strategy right now. That gap is where the next war gets decided. Not at the level of hull counts, not at the level of missile inventories, but at the level of the question nobody wants to answer out loud. How much autonomy do you give a machine when the stakes are measured in human lives? The Navy spent a decade proving that unmanned ships work. They crossed oceans without crews, they held station without fatigue, they tracked submarines across thousands of miles of Pacific water without a single sailor losing sleep aboard. Now the harder question is what you do with a platform that has no limits on endurance, no risk to life, and no crew to second-guess the orders it receives. Sea Hunter crossed 10,000 nautical miles of open ocean on its own and came back without a scratch. Romulus is designed to go further, stay longer, and carry more. The 7 companies selected alongside HII for at-sea demonstrations include Sea Machines, Leidos, Saronic Technologies, and 4 others. The Navy is not betting on one design, it is testing an entire ecosystem of autonomous platforms simultaneously, building redundancy and competition into the program from the ground up. That approach reflects a lesson the Navy learned from every troubled procurement program of the last 30 years. Single vendor programs for complex systems produce cost overruns, schedule delays, and platforms that deliver less than promised. The MUSV Marketplace Initiative is designed to prevent exactly that, using commercial shipbuilding practices and multiple competing designs to keep costs down and delivery timelines realistic. The cost comparison that defines the stakes is simple. China's naval advantage is built on volume. Hundreds of destroyers and frigates produced at a pace American yards cannot match. The only way to close that gap without rebuilding an entire industrial base from scratch is to change the cost per unit of persistent naval presence. A small, unmanned surface vessel costs tens of thousands of dollars. A medium vessel like Romulus costs millions, not hundreds of millions. Thousands of them deployed across the Pacific do not collectively equal the cost of a single Arleigh Burke. And unlike a destroyer, they do not require 5 years to build, 200 sailors to crew, or a carrier strike group to protect. Captain Miller's numbers from the Sea Airspace Symposium are the strategic logic made visible. Over 30 medium USVs and thousands of small ones in the Indo-Pacific alone by 2030. That force, combined with manned destroyers and carriers, creates the kind of sensor and targeting network that makes the hellscape concept operationally real rather than conceptually interesting. Ukraine proved the model in a different context. Ukrainian sea drones, built in garages and operated by small teams, forced the Russian Black Sea Fleet to retreat from waters it had controlled since the Soviet era. Ships that cost billions were driven from operational areas by platforms that cost thousands. The Navy was watching that too. Romulus is not a garage drone. It is a full-size warship without a crew. Its endurance, flexibility, and payload capacity are designed for the scale of the Pacific, not the confined waters of the Black Sea. But the fundamental insight is the same one Ukraine demonstrated with improvised technology in 2022. Persistent presence at acceptable cost changes the operational calculus for the other side. When the cost of denying you access is higher than the cost of maintaining it, deterrence holds. The question for Romulus and the entire unmanned surface fleet is whether the technology, the doctrine, and the numbers can converge fast enough to matter in the window that current Pacific threat assessments identify as the most dangerous. The at-sea testing that begins now will answer the technology question. The doctrine is being written. The numbers are being funded. What happens when all three align is the equation that comes next, and it is the one that China is watching most carefully right now. That is where this program ends and the next one begins. The warship with no crew just started its sea trials. The doctrine that governs what it can do is still being written. And the gap between those two facts is the most important space in American naval strategy today. We do not cover the battle. We find the breaking point. This one is still forming.